Hello, everyone. I wanted to give you some help with In Cold Blood because if we were in school, I would be going over pages with you all the time and helping you decipher this book. It's very detailed, which I'm sure you've picked up on. I hope you've been doing your reading. I've been grading your stand and defend discussions, and I've been grading your direct and indirect characterization. So I'm going to go through the last to see them alive and just point out some specific pages for you. For next week, I'm going to have you read the second part of that. So you're going to read through page 74, and you're going to do a journal, which is very much like what we did for A Separate Peace. Remember that book you loved? And I have the requirements, and I'll give those to you so you can look on the calendar for Canvas again and find all that. You will pick a theme, and the themes are listed on the journal. In this section, I know you should be seeing the American dream. The clutters very much represent the epitome of the American dream. Dick and Perry represent the perversion of the American dream. So they want those same things. They want to have a place, to have a home, to have a life, but they want to pursue that not with hard work, not with determination and with honesty, but with stealing and murdering. So as you read the book, those two themes will be very prominent. Also, you will pick up on a socioeconomic status. And that really breaks down to like a person like Mr. Clutter, who comes from a good family. He is a well-respected person in his community. He is educated. He works hard. So his socioeconomic status is kind of like Atticus Finch, you know? I mean, he's up here where you see especially Perry, when you learn more about his life, that he came from nothing. And the more that you learn about Perry, who, by the way, is the most well-developed character in the book, you will learn so much about him because I think you'll notice that Truman Capote definitely had a connection with him. So you will learn more about him than anyone else. And Perry's home life was awful, okay? So when we begin with the book, you see this very innocent setting, which I think is important. So think about the importance of setting and how at that moment that the murder happens, everything changes in that community. So I've got my book here, In Cold Blood, if you want to get your book. I'm going to go through and highlight a couple pages with you. So I took some notes. And they're my notes. Okay, so first I want to start with page 5. No, go to page 5. And one thing I think that hopefully you're picking up on just from the very beginning of the book, if you look at page 5, I'm not going to tell you the answer. I want you to think about this. It is it's almost that like the last maybe 6 or 7 lines of that paragraph that starts with until. So if you go down about last 6 or 7 lines, at the time not a soul in sleeping Holcomb heard them. 4 shotgun blasts that all told ended 6 human lives. But afterward, the townspeople, theretofore sufficiently unfearful of each other to seldom trouble to lock their doors, found fantasy recreating them over and over again, those somber explosions that stimulated fires of mistrust in the glare of which many old neighbors viewed each other strangely and as strangers. I think that would be an excellent quotation for the loss of innocence. B, I want you to think about the line that says, 4 shotgun blasts that all told ended 6 human lives. So I want you to think about the human lives, okay? What 6 human lives are they referring to? Is Capote referring to there? And I think that we see that that community they didn't lock their doors. I mean, how many of us live in a community, even if we live in a beautiful home in a safe neighborhood, we lock our doors, you know? So think about the innocence of that community that was forever changed. Okay, go to page 6. Some of you that I've graded have done really well with direct versus indirect characterization. Remember that direct characterization, and this book I know gives a ton of characterization, but direct characterization is when we learn something directly from the author about that character, especially like descriptions. Think about things like that. Indirect characterization, we learn about that character, but we learn from the character's thoughts, their actions, or what another character says about them. So on page 6, we've got, well, you've got a good one there that talks about Mr. Clutter. A lot of you use this one at the very top. His shoulders were broad. His hair held its darker color. His square jaw, confident face retained a healthy hued youthfulness, and his teeth, unstained and strong enough to shatter walnuts, were still intact. He weighed 154. Okay. I mean, all of that is direct characterization. Okay. You learn a little bit about Bonnie, his wife. They talk about her as being nervous. I think back in the time, like, you know, healthcare systems have definitely progressed since this time period. And Bonnie, you know, she could have had like some post-traumatic stress. She could have had some anxiety issues. She could have suffered from some depression. You know, we don't ultimately know, but we know that she wasn't truly like the healthy mom. She's probably the only like little taint on this perfect American family. Okay, we're going to go to page 15 next. So on page 15, I think you see a little bit of the perversion of the American dream, again with Dick and Perry. I'm close to the top of page 15. Yes, and what he had told Dick was true. He did know the ins and outs of hunting gold, having been taught them by his father, who was a professional prospector. So why shouldn't they, the two of them, buy a pair of pack horses and try their luck at the Sierra Madre? But Dick, the practical Dick, had said, "Whoa, honey, whoa, I seen that show. Ends up everybody nuts on account of fever and bloodsuckers. Means condition all around. And then when they got the gold, remember, a big wind came along and blew it all away." Perry and Dick are constantly looking for quick ways to get money. Sometimes they're illegal ways. Sometimes they involve violence, bloodshed. If you continue on there's a very good direct characterization of Perry. His tiny feet, encased in short black boots with steel buckles, would have neatly fitted into a delicate lady's dancing slippers. When he stood up, he was no taller than the 12-year-old child, and suddenly looked strutting on stunted legs that seemed grotesquely inadequate to the grown-up bulk they supported, not like a well-built truck driver, but like a retired jockey, overblown and muscle-bound. If you guys want to look up pictures of Perry and Dick, and I think I have a couple pulled up here that you can look at to really get an image of them. Yeah, Perry, well, they were both involved in accidents at one time or another, but Perry's accident left his legs pretty mangled, and so he's not tall, and he's got a very strong, developed upper body, but stunted legs. Okay, let's go to page 33. And again, as you read this, I want you to do what we have always done. You guys know how to do this. I want you to like think about a theme, and I want you to select quotations that you feel provide evidence of that theme. That's what you're going to need to do for your journal. And that will be what you're doing this week too of e-learning, okay? Also, just while I'm thinking about it, you will be taking a quiz over this book. I probably won't do that to the beginning of week 3, because it will take you a while, and we're really only supposed to be, you know, looking at half-hour lessons and 2 a week. So anyway, even if we're not at school, I'm going to still give you that quiz, and it will be timed. So you will have to like start it and finish it in one setting, and you will please don't try to search for all the answers in your book. You won't have enough time to do that. The quizzes for this are very detailed. You cannot SparkNote it or, Cliff Note or any of that stuff. You will have to have read it. Now, I know you're going to have your book, and I'm okay with that, all right? We're in a situation we've never planned on being in before, but I want you to make sure that you've read the material when you're taking that quiz, okay? Because again, you won't have time to search for all the answers, and I want you to do well on it. So make sure you're reading for detail, really paying attention. Ask me questions, okay? And do the things that I'm asking you to. Do the little assignments, focus on the pages that I'm focusing on, do your journal, and you should be in good shape, okay? All right, look at page 33. So this is a good quotation for the American dream. If you start at the paragraph that says anyone and go about halfway down, look all over the world and you won't find friendlier people or fresher air or sweeter drinking water. And I could go to Denver and triple the salary, but I've got 5 kids, and I figure there's no better place to raise kids than right here. Swell schools with every kind of sport. We even have a junior college. And I came out here to practice law, a temporary thing. I never planned to stay, but, okay. So again, this place is, the heart of America, very trusting neighbors. People looked out for each other. People were good to each other. They trusted one another. They worked hard. So definitely American dream. All right, page 36. I wanted you to see some dramatic irony. There's a ton of it throughout this book. It's dramatic irony too, because from the very beginning of the book, you know that the Clutters have died. You know that they were murdered. So when we hear about their last thoughts and things that they did, it's definitely dramatic irony. Much like Anne Frank, where we knew when Otto went back to find the diary that everybody died except for Otto. So this is, very similar. We know going into that all the Clutters were deceased. So on page 36, and this is some good, I think, indirect characterization, because we're learning about Mr. Clutter based on what somebody else is saying about him. Just nothing scares you, she said, commenting on a generally recognized quality of Mr. Clutter's, a fearless self-assurance that set him apart. And while it created respect, it also limited the affections of others a little. I think this is the dramatic irony part. I can't imagine you afraid. No matter what happened, you'd talk your way right out of it. Now, we know something very bad happened in that house, and he was clearly not able to talk his way out of it. So, definite dramatic irony. Okay, so on page 65, if you definitely get to that part, it's so good. You will, like I told you guys, I hope you do have lots of questions, and you can definitely ask me. I prefer if you guys message me, if you email my direct email at the MEFiedler@EACS. I'm just saying Fiedler and not Fiddler because that's how you spell it. If you do the MEFiedler@EACS.K12.in.us, that I get very quickly. I don't see the Canvas email unless I'm in Canvas, which I don't spend my whole day in Canvas. So, okay, go to page 65, and you'll learn a lot about the crime scene on those couple pages. That's a really, I think, high interest part of the book. And I just want you to see something. So this was, they were looking for Mr. Clutter. They found everybody else upstairs. They found Kenyon downstairs. Then they were looking, they find Mr. Clutter. And I want you to think about this because I think it represents very erratic sympathy, okay? So I'm going to start at the very bottom of 64. Because his throat had been cut too. So Mr. Clutter's throat was cut. He was wearing striped pajamas, nothing else. His mouth was taped. The tape had been wound plumb around his head. His ankles were tied together, but not his hands. Or rather, he'd managed, God knows how, maybe in a rage or pain, to break the cord binding his hands. He was sprawled in front of the furnace on a big cardboard box that looked as though it had been laid there specially, a mattress box. The sheriff said, "Well, look there, Wendell." What he was pointing at was the bloodstained footprint. Also, there's a footprint. On the mattress box, a half-sole footprint with circles, 2 holes in the center, like a pair of eyes. And then one of us, Mr. Walt, I don't recall, pointed out something else, a thing I can't get out of my mind. There was a steam pipe overhead, and knotted to it, dangling from it, was a piece of cord, the kind of cord the killer had used. Obviously, at some point, Mr. Clutter had been tied there, strung up by his hands, and then cut down. Okay, so I want you to think about the erratic sympathy that must have been going on in that during that crime, because Mr. Clutter, his throat was slit, but then he was laid down almost carefully on this mattress box. So, like, why would you slit somebody's throat and shoot them, but bother to care that they're on a mattress box and being comfortable? So I want you to think about that, okay? More will come to that. I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you're being safe. I wanted to talk to you about the book, so I hope this helps. I hope I don't look ridiculous. So stay safe, guys, and email me if you have any questions. I did put a place in discussion tab if you want to email or write a question that anybody could answer, not just me. So other people, if you think you know the answer, you're welcome to comment, and I will try to check it and see if I can help you guys. Okay, stay safe. Bye.